Hey, Sarah Goodman. Hey,
Hello,
Darlene.
everyone.
Betsy.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Morning, Suzanne and Leslie.
This is like romper room.
Good morning to my mother.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Ellie.
Good morning, Diane. Oh, good evening, Diane.
Looking good, you guys.
Yeah. There's going to be so many things happening from my computer. Apologies in advance.
Don't apologize, just multitask.
I just hope things don't happen like my phone goes off in the middle of the recording or
Put it on silent. That's what I did.
It is.
It was making these weird noises at me.
Sometimes it comes through on when we're on this. Anyways, let's see. So we're starting, I think we should just kick it off, Kathy, because it's 12:10.
Absolutely. So we have the dance collective, the choir, and the backup rhythm section. You want to go ahead and count us in, Amy?
Yeah, I am. I've got so many
I will
things.
let people in.
So many things that I have to get out of the way to be able to do that. So just give me a moment.
I'll admit everyone.
Okay.
Get ready to dance.
Get ready to
Suzanne, warming up, warming up.
Oh, and everybody just mute yourself if you can.
Warming up.
Except for Kathy, because we like to see Kathy move.
Oh no, it's creaking.
And then, yeah, okay, it's creaking. All right, here we go.
Well, it's the end of the week. Now, where you been? Well, now it's Feedback Friday, so come on in.
Nope, nope, nope.
Sit down.
Nope, starting all over again.
What happened to the sound check?
Yeah, the sound check.
Yeah, what happened to the sound check?
That's
Sorry,
right.
everyone, that was just a rehearsal.
I checked you guys. I jinxed you guys completely, didn't I?
Warm up.
Year of the Tiger can go to HE double hockey sticks, okay? That's all I have to say. Share
Double hockey
sound.
sticks.
Share sound. Share it.
Go.
Doing it again. Now I have to back it up because we don't want to just go halfway into it. Here we go. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Go back to the beginning.
Well, it's the end of the week. Now, where you been? Well, now it's Feedback Friday, so come on in. Come sit down and stare at your screen. We got a presenter that you never seen. We're Feedback Friday, we're on the loose. We'll be the train, you be the caboose. It's Feedback Friday with Kathy and Amy. Mashed potatoes and the gravy. It's Feedback Friday all day long. Feedback, feedback, Feedback Friday.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience while we figured out how to use Zoom again. Somehow we all forgot, but we're good now. We're relaxed. We've cried, we've laughed, we've sweated. We've done all sorts of, we've had the gamut of emotions this morning. But here we are, safe and sound. Thanks for joining us.
I need deodorant.
You need deodorant. Yes, Amy needs deodorant. I've sworn off antiperspirant, so I'm just going to kind of keep hunched here.
Yeah, the natural dyes and deodorant, they don't work, so.
No, bad combi. Okay, let's change subjects.
Yeah, sure.
And welcome to our episode 88. That is like double happiness for, folks from Asia, but somehow we had a little bit of a hiccup, but we're good now. Today's episode 88. We've done this 88 times and there's 88 more to come, I'm sure. Feedback Friday, which is held on a Thursday during Amy's March for Justice, is our weekly show where we talk to dyers, scholars, growers, historians, activists, artists, anybody who's interested in natural color, natural dyes, and textiles. I'm Kathy Hattori, president of Botanical Colors, and joining me from Cape Cod is Amy Dufo, She's got everything, a fully stocked kitchen, and she's ready to go. This week on Feedback Friday, we are welcoming Donna Brown. Donna is a natural dyer, textile artist extraordinaire based in Colorado. And she's going to tell the story of the Janice Ford Memorial Dye Garden at the Denver Botanic Gardens, which is a natural dye garden project she started in 2014. But before we start, I just want to say thank you to everyone who is joining us on the call today, as well as all of you who support us through our online web shop and listen to us talk about causes and things we're passionately interested in. We did have a carbon hint in our newsletter this week about looking at where your retirement funds or investments are invested in, and see if you are heavy on fossil fuels or light on fossil fuels, and how you can determine that and what kind of steps you can take if you want to make that change. Also, as you are all aware, there is a terrible, absolutely terrible crisis happening in Ukraine right now. Amy will have published this weekend some links if you want to donate aid. The places where I donate are, of course, I don't even have the name correct, but it's Jose Andres's World Kitchen, which is basically, he has an entire supply chain set up for humanitarian food relief and actually prepared healthy meals for people who are experiencing any type of crisis or situation where they need food. And he has chefs all over the world who are able to be deployed to crisis spots and feed people who are either fleeing conflict or find themselves in situations from natural disasters. So I'll have that link for Amy to put on the website as well. I think it's really, for me, growing food, having enough food, and it's kind of like growing dye plants and those kinds of things. You have a real investment in it. And it just seems like that is the most basic human comfort that we can offer each other, is the ability to share food and have food for those in need. So think about that. And I have a couple other organizations that are actually helping refugees on the ground in all the countries that they've been able to travel to. And we're talking over 1 million people at this point. So it's a huge issue. Anyway, we keep Ukraine in our thoughts. We stand with them in solidarity against this aggression, and we are praying for a very quick and peaceful resolution. All right, so with that, the only other housekeeping I have, other than world affairs and the crisis we're in, is that this call is being recorded. And we're going to have a video copy available for you this weekend. And any other additional information, Amy is the moderator of this chat, and it will be opened up after Donna is completed with her presentation. And with that, anything else, Amy? I think I got it all. I'm going to turn the page on my
I have
script.
so many
Oh, yeah,
things
that's
to
what I
say,
was
but I'll keep them inside my brain.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a really tough week, you guys. And I know that we're all pretty resolute, but it's scary. It's scary out there right now. Anyway, we are so happy because we have someone with us who is going to be talking about growing and giving and creating beauty from the earth. And that is, of course, Donna Brown. And Donna, I want to invite you to start your presentation and welcome you to Feedback Friday. Oh, that's right. Amy's doing the presentation.
Amy's doing it
All
because
right.
we had
And
technical
I'll admit
difficulties.
people as they come.
We
All
had
right.
technical difficulties this morning. To be honest with you, I'd much rather be in my studio than sitting at a computer. So that's probably part of the problem is to start with. But thank you, Amy and Kathy, for being patient with me. I really appreciate it, and for the opportunity to give the presentation today. Just a little bit about me before I start in the presentation. I'm a weaver. I'm a spinner, I love sewing, and I love natural dyes. I got into natural dyes over 30 years ago because I wanted to dye my own weaving yarns. So I started this path a long time ago using extracts. And now that we've started growing plants, it's kind of made a full circle for me. In the 1980s is when I started. And in the early 1990s, I actually owned a dye company called the Dye Works. Some of you may be familiar with that. In 2005, I sold the business to another dye company called Table Rock Llama Fiber Art Studio. They were in Colorado Springs, and I continued to work with them and teach for them and do all that. Unfortunately, a few years ago, they did close their doors. So that was a sad day for me. So anyway, to the Janice Ford Memorial Dye Garden. Back in 2014, the Ford family gave our guild some money. They gave us money, and we, as a guild, tried to decide what we were going to do with it. I live, and I can see it from my backyard, not Russia, but I can see the garden from my backyard. I'm a very avid walker, so I've walked down to this garden a lot. It's an old homestead. And if you'll move to the next slide, Amy, please. It's an old homestead. There's 740 acres on this site. The house you see there is the Hildebrand house. And so I'd walk around there, and they have an herb garden. They have cutting gardens. They have a CSA garden. They have a market garden. They have rescue animals. And as I walked around this garden, I kept thinking they need a dye garden. So when this money came, a generous contribution from the Ford family, we asked the Ford family if they would be interested in naming a garden after their daughter, who passed away, and started a dye garden at the Botanic Gardens. And this is Chatfield Farms. There's another Botanic Gardens down in downtown Denver. That's the more coiffed garden with formal rose gardens and lilacs and all of that. But this is more of a farm. And so I called the director down at Chatfield Farms, and with a check in hand, which really helped, and said, what do you think? Can we start a dye garden there? And he loved the idea. So we gathered a group from our guild. We have lots of study groups, and started a dye garden project. And early on, I think we maybe had a dozen people that we met down at the old schoolhouse at the gardens and started talking and planning the garden. And Larry, the director, one day, that spring, said, take a walk around and decide where you want to put the garden. So he gave us the full opportunity to decide where we wanted to put this particular garden. If you go to the next slide, please, Amy. We picked the plot that we did because it used to be a garden that grew seeds in the past. So it was kind of on the outskirts of the 5-acre plot that's historic, and and it had irrigation. So we liked that idea a lot. So the first year we started plotting out our garden, which became really fun. And the nice part about the gardens is they work with us. They have a whole set of greenhouses. So this is a unique opportunity where we supply them the seeds. I supplied them the seeds in January. They start all our plants for us, except for the perennials, which I'll go into in a few minutes. But anyway, they start all the plants for us, and they're all growing right now in the dye garden, in the greenhouse. So they keep growing there until about the end of May, or when the last threat of frost happens, and then they deliver the plants to us. So if you'll go to the next slide, please, Amy. This is the greenhouse where our plants grow. This is Emily. She's one of the horticultural staff people. If you'll go to the next slide, please. So in May, when we're ready to plant, they deliver all these lovely lush plants for us. So our indigo plants are usually at least 6-8 inches tall. Some of the marigolds may actually have blooms on them already, which is really lovely. So we can extend our growing season a little bit. The right slide here shows planting day, and our mantra is many hands make light work. And we have a great time planting and having fun. There's enough people usually on planting day that we're done by lunchtime. So, and there's quite a few plants that grow in the garden. If you go to the next slide, make no mistake, our work is hard work, and we work really hard. And we use our tools to its benefit. So, and sometimes we need a little rest. But they also, I put this slide in too to show Paul at his finest, but also they do a lot of cleanup at the garden. So there's always compost, and they're chipping wood all the time. And so we have the opportunity to be able to get fresh mulch that we also lay in the garden. If you go to the next slide. So this is our garden at full spring, probably midsummer. We dye with all the plants, and we also, when we do tours and things of that sort, you can see those fabric sticked in the plant. That's the color that each of the plants gives us. So if you go to the next slide. So this, the Chatfield Farms is a self-guided botanic gardens, which means there's signage all through the gardens that explain to the people that are visiting what they're looking at. So we gave very careful thought to our sign to explain to people what they're seeing. And so this sits in front of the fence where people can look and learn a little bit more about natural dyeing. There is a gate, but people are welcome to come in and walk around our garden at all times. If you'll go to the next slide, please, Amy. So what plants are we growing in the garden? When we first did our planning, we gave careful thought to what kind of plants we wanted to grow. Some of the plants we wanted to be common plants, so people could look and say, oh, I didn't know marigold was a dye plant. Some plants we wanted to grow because of the foliage. Some plants we wanted to honor our West, so we are growing things like Navajo tea and Hopi sunflowers. So these are the plants that we grow in our garden every year. Coda, Navajo tea is one. We grow 3 different colors of cosmos, red, orange, and yellow. They all yield slightly different colors. We have coreopsis. We have 2 different kinds. We have the roulette, which is a bright red flower. And then we have the common Dyer's Plains coreopsis, which is a native to Colorado. Next slide, please. Okay, Hopi black sunflowers. These flowers are just spectacular. The flowers are almost the size of dinner plates. And the first couple of years, we had really good luck growing these in our garden. And then after a while, they just weren't flourishing at all. And so we consulted with the horticulture staff at the gardens, and they decided that our sunflowers needed more room to grow. So at that point, they offered to grow them in the market garden. So they're on site. We walk past them as we go to the garden, but they actually have their own row and have done really well there. So, and they grow enough that the seeds of those particular flowers we can grow the next year. The black hollyhocks are one of our showstoppers. We picked that one because of the color of the flowers, but also because it's a heritage plant, and it kind of honors the homestead that where we're with the Chatfield Farms. And of course, our favorite of all favorites is the indigo Persicaria tinctoria. And I'd say we have more of that plant than any in the garden, which we just love. Next slide, please, Amy. And then we grow madder, Rubia tinctoria. We have them in raised beds because they are very evasive. They like to grow everywhere, and they still go everywhere. But because of this COVID situation, we haven't been, we have 2 plots, so we can continue to let one grow while we harvest the year 3 plants. But right now, I think the matters maybe 4 years old because we haven't tended to it like we should have because of just the situation with everything going in the garden. And then we have dyer's broom, which is a perennial. It gets out of hand, and we have to be careful with it flowering because if we don't tend to the flowers, we end up having it seed itself everywhere. If we could go to the next slide, please. And then we have yarrow in our yard in our garden right now. It takes over, and we're trying to actually we're trying to dig it up and replace it with something else. It doesn't give a very exciting color for us either. So we're trying to get rid of that one for now. And then Weld, we have Weld County in Colorado. The slide on the left is the first year plants. They just grow rosettes, and then the second year they grow these big tall spires of yellow flowers. Its nickname is Dyer's Rocket because of that. There's also beehives in the gardens, and the bees just absolutely love this Weld. So we're also helping with the pollination of the flowers, which is great. Something I want to talk about while I'm mentioning all the plants is early on, I thought that we could harvest the seeds from the plants and then use those to grow the following year. What we ended up finding out is a lot of the plants would cross-pollinate. So the year that we collected the marigold seeds, if you'll go to the next slide, the marigold seeds are next, I think. We grow 3 different kinds of marigolds, the African, the French, and now we have Mexican. And we discovered that the bees would cross-pollinate the flowers. So the next year that we collected the seeds and planted them, the seeds were all the same. They weren't different anymore. So that was a real bummer because I thought we could actually, it could be an income producing sort of activity with the seeds, but foiled on that front. So anyway, we support seed companies now in terms of supplying our seeds. This year we are going to start, we're going to grow scabiosa, which is a new plant for me, and so we'll see how that goes. So we use the plants to do dye days and that sort of thing. We also are doing petal printing now. We've purchased a heat press that we're using for that particular activity. So we use every part of the flower. Okay, next slide, please. So this is pretty much what we do once a week, starting in May through this year. We were able to go almost to November with our gardening. We meet out there every Wednesday. Some of us meet really early. We have folks that are traveling for this dye garden that all the way from Colorado Springs, which is a good hour plus drive, and we have people coming from the mountains. So it's drawn people from all over. This project is, because it's a collaboration between the Guild and the Botanic Gardens, we're considered volunteers of the Botanic Gardens, and then we're also Guild members as well, with a bunch of varied talents. Some of our members are weavers, some are knitters, some crocheters, and so it's a wide variety of folks. So we pick the plants. Next slide, please. And as some of you have gardens, you know, some of these plants are pretty tedious to harvest just the flowers. They're small. It takes quite a bit of time, but we've become a very patient group. And as I said before, many hands make light work. So between our group, we usually have anywhere from 15 to 20 that arrive every week. So by lunchtime, we're sharing lunch together and done with our garden activity. But during the summer, by the time the week rolls around, there's enough flowers to harvest again. It's just amazing how quickly these flowers grow. Next slide, please. So once the flowers are picked, we use we collect all of them in bins, and then the bins go into this drying rack, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And because Colorado is so dry, by the following week, unless we've had some hard rain, the plants are ready to put in containers that we store. Sometimes we'll use the fresh flowers for dyeing, but we do store very dry flowers for future use. Our guild has changed churches, meeting locations recently. Before COVID, we were in a church where they had this huge industrial kitchen that we were able to use all winter to dye as well. So we used our plants for that particular activity as well. So next slide, please. So this is the drying rack. They're sold to dry herbs, but they work really well for our particular activity. You know, you can spread the flowers out really flat, and each row has its labels. So we have a row for marigolds, a row for cosmos, a row for all of the particular things. The bins on the left are what we use in the garden to pick the, you know, to contain the flowers, and then they go out, and then we have someone that distributes them in the rows. So it's a whole nother weekly activity. When we first started with the garden, we were housed in an old historic building called the Granary, and it was an open building that, you know, would have mice and things. So we had to be very careful with what we were storing, where, and how. If we go to the next slide, please. So now, last year, a new building was built, and this is where our storage is now. It's a huge building, concrete floor. The slide on the right shows you all the bins that we've been collecting flowers with. We also have stoves in there, the Camp Chef stoves, and our pots and pans. We can store everything in one collective place, and it's just quite lovely. There's some racks towards the back that the cutting garden uses to dry flowers, and sometimes if we have a lot of indigo that's wet, we can hang them and dry them there. In the back of this particular building is a sink with a grate, so there's a lot of access to different activities in this building. We share this with the Herb Guild, who collect herbs every week, and they wash them, and then they make vinegars and soaps and all sorts of things with the herbs. And then also the CSA staff uses it to do different things in the fall usually. Last year we had a hard frost early on, and as part of CSA, there's people that pay to get cut flowers every week, and the CSA went to pulling all the flowers and drying them and giving dry flowers to the CSA people that had done shares for flowers. Next slide, please. So I mentioned that our indigo is our most beloved plant. We do lots of different things with it. We do dry the leaves, but it's also an opportunity to do fresh indigo dyeing with the blender and the ice, which is what the color is on the right. When we have, when the indigo is ready to harvest, we have what we call stripping days. And as we come into the garden and we explain that to the visitors, they're very curious about what we're going to be stripping. So it's always a fun day. But we do, we usually harvest at least twice, if not 3 times. Okay, next slide, please. So what I wanted to talk about briefly are the different opportunities that this garden has given us. Our guild is a nonprofit, a 501c3, which means we're one of our charges is continuing education and community outreach, which this garden has been certainly an activity that we can do that. There is an outdoor kitchen at the gardens as well, and we can use that to do big dyeing and classes. I've taught classes out there, which is always quite fun. Next, please. So the garden has given us an opportunity to learn from each other as well as to bring educators in. This is our one of our dye garden members, Linda Luganbill, who is teaching us how to make baskets. So we have lots of space out there to be able to do all sorts of fun activities for our own personal use as well as for other community members. Next slide, please. So this is one of the days where we have community dyeing days, and we're always happy. And these are two of our dye garden members that are premier natural dyers as well. And you can see our drying rack in the back. Next slide, please. These are the colors that we get from our garden. It's a wide range of colors that we're pretty proud of. We do have a guild sale in the fall. So in the past, we have actually generated income by making dye kits, selling yarn, doing all sorts of activities like that. We've also done pedal print fabrics that we have sold. So that helps continue with our budget. Next slide, please. So every year for the first, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, Paul Tracy, the wheelbarrow guy, would take the yarns that we dyed from the garden and make a tapestry. And this particular tapestry hangs in the visitor center. So when people come in to pay to go to the garden, or if they come, just to check out things, they get this wonderful view of this beautiful tapestry. Each of the rows has a picture of the plant that from the color that it got. And then we also have a big map that's on an easel that educates people about the plants that are growing in the garden and encouraging them to come visit. Okay, next. So we do offer tours of our garden. This particular tour was of folks that were the docents at the garden. So we offer tours from herb guilds and different botanic gardens. We've also given tours to the Perennial Plant Association. They had their national meeting and requested a tour with us. So it's a wonderful opportunity for us to be able to showcase our work. I told you that I can walk to this garden from my house. If you see the hill in the back, that's where my house is. So it's right there. Okay, next, please. So they have, as part of the gardens, they have free days. So we take that opportunity. They're once a month where the public can come and tour the gardens without having to pay. We use these as an opportunity to talk about our guild. So we bring in wheels, we bring in looms so the kids can practice understanding weaving. Some of our folks are actually in the garden giving tours and talking about the plants. Some people bring their knitting. We set up what we call our dye buffet, which is on a picnic table where we have all the different plants and containers, as well as liquids that show what you would get if you steep the colors, and then also fabrics with the colors in them, so we can explain to people about the natural dye process. Okay, next, please. This is the kitchen when we're giving tours on one of the free days. We just have a great time in this kitchen. It's just really wonderful. You can see in the background, there's a cage. They also have chickens and roosters that are really quite add personality to the gardens as well. Some year we have problems with pine beetles. So they've taught me how to collect a couple of the chickens, and we bring them into the dye garden and let them be our natural. They feed on our bugs, so we can't use any chemicals of any sort because of the bees and everything else there. So we have to be really careful. But the chickens do work for us as well. Okay, next, please. So these are some of the other tours that we've given. We did have a formal dedication where we invited the guild to come out and view all of our different naturally dyed items. The Ford family came, and that started a really wonderful relationship with the Ford family and Janice Ford's mom, who is no longer with us, but her sister we connect with her quite frequently and keep her up to date on what we're doing. And it's just been a really nice relationship between our guild and the Ford family, as well as some of Janice's friends. The Kings are another one. Okay, next, please. So the gardens also runs kids camps in the summer. They usually have a series of 6 with themes, farm on the camp and different things like that. So we take the opportunity to have a session with each of the kiddos once a week. Some years, if you'll go to the next slide, please. I realized I duplicated this slide. Some years we teach them about dyeing, where they dye bandanas. Some years they stamp. Some years they will weave. So it's just a great experience to be able to expose the kiddos to fiber arts. Next slide, please. Yeah, that's my duplicate slide. I apologize. So on the right is a group from Kids Camp that actually dyed bandanas and marigolds. We gave them rubber bands, and so they put resists on them as well. So they learned about a little surface design technique, and they all just have a great time. At the end, we wash them, and they're all drippy wet, but it's usually very hot, so they really enjoy having that wet bandana around their neck for the afternoon. Okay, next, please. We also take the opportunity to highlight silk painting. This is a premier silk painter, Janice, and she's actually painting safflower, which we did grow in our garden at one point until we discovered how tedious it was to pick all those little petals. So we decided we weren't going to grow that one anymore. One of the other plants that we did grow, I meant to mention it, that we don't anymore, is red amaranth. A lot of the Hopi dye books will talk about red amaranth being a dye plant. I tried every way to study to get color out. If someone has some ideas on how to do that, we never could get any color out of it. So we did retire that one in our garden as well. Okay, next, please. The Botanic Gardens also has a College of Botanic Illustrations, and it's given the students an opportunity to come out to our garden and illustrate our dye garden plants. This is, of course, our indigo plant. So with COVID, that kind of has stopped. I'm hoping that we can get a resurgence of students coming out to illustrate our dye plants, and eventually have a brochure with illustrations in it as well. Next, please. The garden has given us an opportunity to bring in natural dyers from all over. This is John Marshall. Because we have indigo plants growing in our garden, it's an opportunity to ask dyers to come and teach us things that you normally wouldn't have the opportunity to do. So John spent a day with our indigo leaves and showed us how to do all the sorts of new techniques with that. We've also had Judy Newland and Peggy DeLogas doing petal printing. So it's just given us lots of opportunities for continuing education within our group. Okay, next. So this is another view of the garden highlight, in the summertime when it's flourishing. The building in the back was the granary that we used to store our leaves and things in, and now we've stepped up. We've gone up in space. Next, please. 2 years ago, I had the unfortunate situation of losing my younger son. And as a result of that, I started an endowment to start a dye garden at the John C. Campbell Folk School. So this is the second year that this garden is growing. Here again, it's going to offer all kinds of opportunities for continuing education. The Folk School is another historic site with all kinds of beautiful buildings, and they offer dye classes and pottery and forging and that sort of thing. So this garden will be another spot where people can learn how to use the dyes and learn about natural dyeing. So it's kind of a really bittersweet moment for me. So that I've made lemonade out of lemons. Okay, my last slide. So this is my opportunity to thank all the members of the Dye Garden Project. We couldn't do it with one person. Everyone has stepped up and they're a team player. We've really become an extended family. We take care of each other, we nurture each other. We give ourselves a chance when we're gardening to talk about different issues. The only thing that my rule is we're not talking politics. So we never talk politics, but we do talk and share and help each other and nurture each other. And it wouldn't be possible without this group. It's just been a delightful experience for me, and I think I can say it for everybody in the group. So thank you. I think that's the last slide.
Thank you, Donna.
You're
That
welcome.
was so amazing. It was really beautiful to see
Donna.
all of the places where you built beautiful gardens and created so many different programs for people to experience natural dyes on all sorts of levels. And so I really want to thank you for that presentation. It was very
Thank you. And I have to say, when we started this, I had no idea where it was heading. I had no idea. And it's just been a wonderful experience and full of surprises. And the one other thing I did want to mention, you may be familiar with this book, Nature Colorways. There's a chapter in here that I wrote about starting a dye garden. So the things that I mentioned today, it kind of lists the considerations if you're motivated to try and start one on your own. It's a gorgeous book. There's lots of really interesting articles. But
great. Yeah, I haven't seen that, but we'll try to see if we can carry it. That would be
it's
great.
Long Thread Media.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Linda Ligon. I can hook you up if you want, or you can really do it on your own.
I would love that.
Okay, I'll send you the link for that. But it's a wealth of information in there. Catherine Ellis has an article about more than so. It's a really good thing. So
excellent. All right, Amy, let's turn it over to you. Thank you again, Donna. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
You want to take us? Yes. Yeah. Right. I was going to say, take a sip of some water, or some coffee, or some tea.
Yeah.
I got water. Thank you.
All right. Are you ready?
Okay. I can try and be.
Okay. So Deanna is asking, and thanking you, but asking about how do you irrigate your garden? If you installed the system, can you talk more about it? And was it costly?
No, it's not costly. And this is the other pleasure of having the garden. There's actually an irrigation guy at the gardens, and that's all he does. So it's a drip system. So each of those rows has 2 or 3, it's a black tube with little holes in it that is run automatically. So in our area, he monitors it. So some weeks he may be running it every day, some weeks maybe every other day, but they take care of that for us.
Isn't that nice?
It's very nice. Yeah, it's quite the pleasure to have people with expertise, especially if we have issues with something. There's usually someone at the gardens that can help us, or they know who to put us in touch with.
All right. Helen's asking, how big is the garden?
It's not very big, actually. It's 1,500 square feet, which doesn't seem like a lot. And I've been asked in the past, would you like to make it bigger? And my answer is no. I mean, we have our hands full with what we do. Mm-hmm. So 1,500 feet is all it is. Square feet.
This is like the cutest comment I think I've ever seen in the history of Feedback Friday. We are a high school class in Pennsylvania for sewing students. We have to go back. Thank you so much for having us. So we had a high school sewing class that was just joining us.
Great. Okay. Yeah, and this has connected me with all kinds of people. I just got an email from someone in Pennsylvania that I think they're not Pennsylvania, Atlanta. I think, is Susie here somewhere?
Not sure. What?
I don't know. She was going to come today.
Yes, I'm here, Donna.
Yeah, so she's getting ready to start a dye garden. So we'll start working with her. She's down in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. Great. Yeah, we'll direct all people your way for this. Okay. Ideas and inspiration.
Oh, thank you so much.
Susie says, will you plant different plants at John C. Campbell?
At the moment, I know there's madder and there's marigolds. And there's actually going to be 3 gardens there. There's a vegetable garden that they use for the dining hall, and then there's a fiber garden. They're growing cotton, and some other. I think they're hoping to grow. I don't know if they've started the flax yet, I know Catherine has shared weld seeds with there's a full-time gardener at the folk school again, which is really lovely. So those are the only plants I know that they've started right now. Martha Owen is the resident artist there, and she's been a real great person in terms of a resource for the locals. So it's just getting started. It's just getting started there. So and right now, those of you that don't know the folk school, it's in Brasstown, real close to Murphy, and Brasstown's very small, but it's a very community-oriented school. So the community usually is there contra dancing and doing fiddling and that sort of thing, and that's kind of been put on hold. So once things start opening up again, I think, you know, there'll be some more opportunities, which will be great.
Kathy, did you hear that? Contra dancing and fiddle playing?
I used to do contra dancing.
Every Tuesday,
Can we go? Yeah.
Tuesday night at the school, the community comes and contra dance, and then the students are all invited to participate.
Oh my God, that's so great. That's
Yeah,
great.
it's really a quaint place.
I did contra dancing once, and I was with this guy and he was spinning me all around, and I was really losing my breath, and I get motion sickness quickly. So I was looking at him like, I think you should stop spinning me. And finally I just had to leave him standing there and walk out. That was enough. Okay. Jen in Seattle, like this. I'm perversely curious, which marigold variety won out? Perversely.
You mean with us?
Yes.
When all the varieties hybridized with each other.
Oh, I'm not really sure what we ended up with.
The singles?
Yeah, they were singles. They weren't very big. I know Jeanette Bear's here. She's our botanist in our group. Do you have anything to add to that, Jeanette? There she is. Do you remember that year?
You have to unmute.
Unmute. Jeanette, you're not.
Okay, sorry. I guess with the marigolds, the small French marigolds didn't change too much, but the large African marigolds kept getting smaller and smaller. And I think, was it with the Cosmos, Donna, that the gardeners told us were hybrids. And so the second season, they would not breed true either. So
Right.
they just discouraged us from saving those seeds.
Right.
Right. Let's see. Is Dyer's broom the same as Scotch broom?
No,
Okay.
it is not. And we had a terrible time starting the dyer's broom. So I brought in Mike Bone, who is the premier horticulture guy out at Chatfield. And he came in the fall, the few plants that we were able to grow, and he did cuttings and he made seedlings from the cuttings. And we had great success with that. But the seeds, we just never, they were really difficult to get to germinate.
Okay, I think we're going to take one more question, and it seems like there's a couple people asking about that incredible drying rack that now we all want. Are there smaller sizes, and can you talk more about where people can get those? And
I get them on Amazon, and actually the one that was in the slide was really large, and after a while they get tears and stuff, so I reordered them last year, and they're not nearly as big. So the new ones are probably 2 feet in diameter. I don't know if you can get smaller ones.
There might be some sort of agricultural supply that has.
Yeah, they're called
larger
drying racks, and I just get them on
size.
Amazon. Yeah, I get them on Amazon.
Mhm. Okay, well, we'll do a little research, and if we can find some references, then we'll put that in our missive that we send out.
Okay, and I can look too. I haven't looked in a while, but they're great. We actually have 3 of them that we use. So
Really easy to find them online.
okay.
I just looked at your photo once, Donna, and then I went looking for them, and there's, Gardener Supply, and a lot of people sell them. Just Google drawing rack.
Yeah. And I know you said you had screens and stuff up in your studio, right, Sarah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we made these wooden frames with the screen as the top and the bottom,
Uh-huh.
because we were having problems with birds coming and pooping on them, and
Oh, boy.
yeah, and mice and all those things, and that's why you
Right.
want to protect it.
Yeah, so the drying rack is great because we can hang it in the trees and then we can put it, store it away because it folds flat. So we can fold it flat to carry it, and it works really well.
I have one out hanging in my garage now.
Oh, great.
All right. Anything else that we have? I am gonna do our little outro and then we will open it up for everyone to say hello and goodbye. Again, thank you very much, Donna. That was fabulous.
Yes,
You're
thanks, Donna.
really, really informative and inspiring. Okay, so we actually have one opening available in Porfirio Gutierrez's workshop, April 6th through 9th in Ventura. This is a real life people close by kind of workshop. We're all going to be doing medicinal dye plants, and we're going to have a healing ceremony with a curandera who is Porfirio's mother. I don't remember her name, but anyway, Dona Gutierrez is going to, clean us all up for the new year. And it's going to be really great. I'm looking very much forward to that. We also just restocked on some of the grand prismatic seeds that you were asking about, so check those out. And we have our dye inks on sale, and we had a little bit of a website issue with them, but they now actually really are on sale.
Good.
So, until the end of the month. And then we also have our beautiful dried pomegranate peels on sale. If you've been hankering to try those, they really yield a really nice color, and they're great for eco printing, and they're now on sale as well. Next week, I cannot wait. We cannot wait. We have like supreme forest bather and woodland explorer, mycophile artist, educator, flower grower, Julie Beeler, who is here in Washington State. She is incredible. She is the one of the coordinators for this international mushroom conference that's happening this October in Port Townsend, Washington. If you are interested in mushrooms, and who isn't, Julie is your person. She's going to talk about the mushroom color atlas that she's developing, which is this way of us looking at where mushrooms are found and what colors they yield. We sent her a bunch of mushrooms, and she sent us back some pictures, and we're like, the samples are arriving today. I just can't wait. It's going to be really fascinating. We also have been able to get a few mushrooms for sale. So next week we will have those for sale, and you can start experimenting yourself. So this mushroom color atlas she'll be speaking about, she'll probably speak about the conference. She has if you're in her area, she has a beautiful flower CSA that's worth checking out if you love fresh flowers. And her hope is that with her presentation is that everyone will be inspired to learn more about the mycological world and begin to understand the importance of the networks, connections, and symbiotic relationships that live in our forests. There's also a couple of really interesting books about trees and all of these networks that they create through mycelium and mycorrhiza, whatever. But anyway, it's just amazing. So we'll have some of those inspirational and scientific books for you to think about. And most importantly, Julie writes, the understanding of our impact on these delicate networks and our role as stewards of the land, bringing positive change to our local environments and to our planet. So I cannot wait. I really hope you'll join us. It's going to be next Thursday,
Kathy.
next Thursday
Thursday,
at 9 a.m.
Kathy.
Yeah, so when the Wheels of Justice are done with Amy, she'll either be like a little bit of
I texted
little
Kathy the other
battered.
day. I know so much about cocaine right now. I can't even believe it, from jury duty.
Yeah. Anyway, this is sort of specialized knowledge now.
I can't, yeah.
Does it yield a
it's-
color?
I did find out that they cut cocaine yesterday with chemicals that they actually put on sheep to delice them.
All right, Amy.
Yep. Who would have thought?
Who would have known?
Fiber and cocaine.
Yes. All right, great. Let's go ahead and unmute. Everybody can say hello. Let's talk about something else besides,
Cocaine?
yeah, restricted substances.
Let's talk about Donna.
Thanks.
Oh my God.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
you.
That was fabulous.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Oh,
you.
there you all are. Look at you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Goodbye. It was inspiring.
Yeah, just makes you want to get out there in the dirt.
I
Except ours
want
is
to smell
pretty
that
smelly
dirt.
right
Yeah.
now.
We're having a 70-degree day today, so
Oh.
Who's
Oh my
saying that?
gosh.
In here.
with snow on its way over the weekend, so it won't last for long, but yeah, these days I think, oh, I want to be out digging in the dirt.
Not quite yet.
Well,
It's
there's
unsettled
still
weather.
snow on the ground.
Right. I know that voice.
Donna.
My buddy
Our
Joy.
Weavers Guild also has a natural dye group that I belong to, and I'm inspired to share this so that